if you go out right now and practice javelin for 5 minutes, throwing the javelin, you're going to be better at throwing the javelin than 80% of the world's population. I mean, that's mind-blowing if you think about it. I spent 5 minutes and I'm all of a sudden better at throwing this stick than most 80% of the world's population.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very important to understand that these aren't just any old questions and these aren't just any old patterns. These are the patterns that are going to immediately make you better than 85%. Just a little bit of practice is going to make you a better thinker than most of the population. And that's what our research has shown. And so that's pretty important.
Well, and also I would say what's remarkable about that is when you incorporate this for yourself, there is a moment where you realize that you understand things differently and better. And you also see, I guess I want to say economies of scale, where once you get really good at one or more of these things, it happens everywhere sort of naturally. And then you realize you're thinking in your own opinion is you're faster, you're getting things more accurate.
Yeah.
I have less misunderstandings, fewer conflicts in conversation. And once that happens, then I started to realize over time, I'd be sitting at a table in a meeting and I was not nervous about speaking. I felt like I understood things. And then people started listening to me more.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice trajectory.
You have more clarity of thought, faster and more clarity of thought, more awareness of what's driving your emotions, which leads to less conflict and silliness and things like that. So
you'll see it, you'll feel it for yourself, and then you'll see it, and other people will see it eventually.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is moves, but I do want to make one point about these columns. Is a lot of people think, oh wow, there's all these things I got to know. There's 4 patterns. This is the question version of those patterns.
Yes.
Right? And then we're going to talk about the cognitive moves of those patterns, right? So this is just different ways of seeing the same thing. There are 4 patterns. And if you're like more of a linguistic person and you like questions like you, for me, I'm much more visual, so I like the moves. We're going to show you some of those. But if you like words and you like questions and things like that, then this is the question version, the beginner question version of these patterns.
Choose the column that suits you.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever works, it's the workout that works, right?
Yeah. Andy Galpin says that. He's a sharp guy. He says, I always ask him because he knows so much about, physiology and workouts and all this kind of stuff, high performance. And they ask him, what's the best workout, blah, blah, blah. Should I do this split or that split or what? And he always says, the best workout is the one you'll do.
Yeah. That's the workout.
So the best warm up, the best workout for mental fitness is the one you'll do. Whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you excited, whatever suits your style, grab that and work it out. And you will start to notice some real difference.
So here's the visual version is what
Yeah, so the moves are they're just like physical moves, except they're mental moves. They're cognitive moves. And they're literally like you start at one point and you can go to another point and this is the move. It is the cognitive movement version of the questions, which are the questioning method or move version of the patterns.
Right.
So in this move, we're gonna start with just the move names, and then we'll tell you what they are. So the move name for this one is called is not list, and the move name for this one is called zoom in and zoom out. So you can think of these as 2 different moves or one move, zoom in, zoom out.
Yep.
There's 2 moves in this. One is called part party.
Because parts like to party.
Because parts like to party. So there's always an exclamation point at the end to remind us.
Flavor you've added to that.
And then there's another one called barbell, which is like a a relationship between 2 things, looks kind of like a barbell. And we use a term called RDS, which we'll tell you what that means in a second. We call this an RDS barbell because it's a particular type of barbell. And then the name of this move is called P-circle, which just means perspective circle, encircling something with a set of perspectives. So then when we think about the moves, we think about them as visuals or maps, little cognitive maps, which are critical. Why are they critical? Because we have more neurons hooked up to these eyeballs and these hands
Yes.
than the rest of our body combined.
Yes.
Meaning your brain is more hooked up to these eyeballs and these hands than the whole rest of the body combined.
Yeah.
It's actually not hooked up to the ear very relatively as much. Yet, most of our educational system is kind of built on listening, and we need to move more into object-oriented stuff. We can move around with our minds, with our eyes, and with our hands. And that's why visual maps and stuff like blocks can be very helpful.
It's fascinating
It speaks to our brain.